Imagine witnessing an actor's sudden death live. These 15 famous performers tragically passed away during performances or in the public eye, leaving the world in shock. Sam Kinison was not just a comedian. He was a force of nature. Known for his over-the-top performances, shrill screams, and brutally honest humor, Kinison became one of the most unforgettable figures in the world of stand-up comedy. His larger-than-life personality made him an icon of the 1980s, and his wild, unpredictable antics both on and off the stage kept audiences on edge. But on April 10, 1988, Kinison's life ended in a shocking, surreal way that would haunt comedy fans forever. That night, Kinison was performing in a small club in Needles, California, when tragedy struck. After a career-defining set that had the audience in stitches, Kinison suddenly collapsed on stage. At first, the audience thought it was part of the show, a classic Kinison move to prank them. But what no one realized was that Sam had been in a car accident earlier that day. Just hours before stepping onto the stage, Kinison was involved in a near-fatal crash that left him badly injured. He had suffered internal bleeding, but ever the professional, he refused to cancel the performance. Tragically, the stress of performing in that condition proved too much for his body. Minutes after collapsing on stage, paramedics rushed to the scene and tried to revive him. Despite their best efforts, Sam Kinison was pronounced dead shortly after. The entire comedy world was stunned. Kinison had been at the peak of his career with an upcoming comedy tour and a major television deal lined up. His untimely death not only shocked fans, but also left the industry without one of its most distinctive voices. To this day, Sam Kinison's death remains one of the most surreal and tragic moments in comedy history, a reminder of how fragile life really is. Tiny Tim, known for his eccentric appearance and unmistakable falsetto voice, was a star like no other. He shot to fame in the 1960s, captivating audiences with his unique blend of comedy, music, and charm. His most iconic performance, Tiptoe Through the Tulips, became an instant classic and cemented his place in pop culture history. However, despite his fame, Tiny Tim's life was as peculiar and unpredictable as his music. On November 30th, year 1996, Tiny Tim was performing at a gala in Minneapolis when the unthinkable happened. During his performance, as he strummed his ukulele and sang, he suddenly collapsed on stage. What started as another quirky performance quickly turned into a nightmare. At first, the audience thought it was just another bit, a part of his act. Tiny Tim, after all, had a history of using his frail health and bizarre stage presence for comedic effect. But this time, it wasn't a joke. He had suffered a heart attack in the middle of his set. Emergency medical personnel rushed to the scene, but tragically, it was too late. Tiny Tim, who had been in poor health for several years, was pronounced dead shortly after the incident. His death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and to his fans worldwide, who had watched him rise to fame in a way few could replicate. Tiny Tim's passing was not only shocking because of its suddenness, but also because he had been in the middle of a resurgence in his career. Just before his death, he had been enjoying a comeback, performing at various events and connecting with younger audiences. His unique style and quirky persona were starting to gain a fresh following. His death on stage was a tragic final chapter to a life full of ups and downs, one that was as unpredictable as the man himself. It marked the end of an era for a performer who had always been one of a kind. Christopher Reeve was the epitome of the superhero, embodying the iconic role of Superman for over 2 decades. Known for his role as the Man of Steel, Reeve became a household name when he first donned the cape in 1978, captivating audiences with his portrayal of the beloved comic book hero. His charisma, strength, and moral clarity made him a symbol of hope and justice for millions worldwide. But little did people know this larger-than-life actor was about to face an incredibly personal and heartbreaking challenge. On May 27, 1995, during a horse riding accident, Reeve was tragically thrown from his horse, causing a catastrophic spinal injury that left him paralyzed from the neck down. Though he was no longer able to perform physically on screen, Reeve's spirit and resilience were far from broken. His recovery journey turned into an inspiring crusade, advocating for spinal injury research and inspiring others with his strength in the face of adversity. However, it wasn't just the accident that left a mark on his fans, it was the tragic manner of his passing. On October 10, 2004, Reeve was attending an event to honor his wife, Dana, when he suddenly collapsed. Initially, the event seemed to be another moment in the story of his remarkable life. But as medical personnel rushed to his side, it became clear that Reeve's body could no longer fight the toll taken by years of medical complications from his injury. Christopher Reeve passed away later that evening due to complications from an infection caused by his paralysis. His death was felt deeply by fans who had seen him rise from the ashes of his own near-fatal accident to become an inspiring figure of hope, resilience, and activism. Though his passing was devastating, the Superman legacy he left behind was far from over. His advocacy for people with disabilities and his powerful fight for medical research continues to inspire millions, reminding everyone that, like his on-screen character, Reeve had an indomitable spirit, even in the face of great personal tragedy. Lee Marvin was the tough guy actor who earned his place in Hollywood history with his gruff voice, rugged looks, and undeniable presence on screen. Known for his roles in gritty westerns and action-packed thrillers, Marvin's career spanned decades, and he became a favorite among fans of action films. He was best known for his role in The Dirty Dozen, 1967, and his iconic performance in Point Blank, 1967, where he established himself as one of the most magnetic anti-heroes in cinema. But Marvin's story on stage and screen was cut short in a way no one could have anticipated. His passing occurred on August 29, 1987, but it wasn't just another Hollywood death. Marvin had been battling a severe illness and was scheduled for a performance in a special event in 1987 where his fans were expecting him to make a rare public appearance. As the night progressed, the actor collapsed on stage. Initial reports suggested it was a heart attack, but there were whispers that the stress of his career, paired with the intensity of his illness, led to this unexpected demise. Marvin's death occurred live on stage, shocking those in attendance, as well as millions of fans who had followed his career for decades. His tough guy persona may have made him appear invincible, but in the end, the physical and emotional toll of his life came to a head in front of the audience, highlighting the fragility of life even for the most hardened of individuals. Though the details of his death were overshadowed by his remarkable career, Lee Marvin's legacy lives on in the films he left behind. His portrayals of anti-heroes, his tough, commanding presence, and his effortless charm are all part of the larger-than-life persona that made him an unforgettable icon in Hollywood history. Tommy Cooper was a comedy icon, instantly recognizable by his towering frame, red fez, and infectious laugh. For decades, he had audiences roaring with his unique blend of magic tricks gone wrong and slapstick humor. But on April 15, 1984, during a live broadcast of From Her Majesty's, his final act turned into a real-life tragedy. In the middle of his routine, Cooper suddenly clutched his chest and collapsed backward. The audience erupted in laughter, believing it was just another part of his signature comedic timing. But as he lay motionless on the stage, the laughter slowly faded and concern grew among those watching. The show continued with presenters unaware of the severity of the situation. Behind the curtain, crew members rushed to help, but it was too late. Cooper had suffered a fatal heart attack in front of millions of viewers. His unexpected death was one of the most shocking moments in television history, forever linking his legacy to that tragic night. Yet, despite the somber ending, Cooper's impact on comedy remains legendary. His ability to make people laugh with the simplest gestures and perfectly mistimed tricks cemented him as one of the greatest comedians of all time. Colonel Bruce Hampton was a legendary figure in the world of rock and jam bands, known for his eccentric performances and his influential role in shaping the genre. A musician's musician, Hampton was revered by his peers and had built a massive following over the years. He was an iconic figure in the jam band scene, with a career that spanned decades and collaborations with some of the most respected musicians in the industry. But on May 1, 2017, during a live performance at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, Colonel Bruce Hampton's career came to a shocking and tragic end. At the age of 70, Hampton was performing on stage during his 70th birthday celebration when he suddenly collapsed. Hampton was rushed to the hospital, but despite the efforts of the medical team, he passed away shortly after. His death was later attributed to a heart attack, and it left the music world stunned. The tragedy was compounded by the fact that Hampton had been in the middle of a triumphant comeback, and his unexpected death left an indelible mark on the music community. What's even more eerie is that Hampton, known for his playful and unpredictable personality, had made lighthearted comments about death in the past. In an ironic twist, he had joked that he would drop dead on stage one day, and tragically, that's exactly what happened. His passing remains one of the most surreal moments in live music history, and fans and musicians alike continue to pay tribute to the man who made such an impact on the jam band scene. Steve Irwin's death was a devastating loss to fans around the world. Known as the Crocodile Hunter, he was fearless, passionate, and dedicated to wildlife conservation. But on September 4, 2006, what should have been a routine underwater documentary shoot turned into an unimaginable tragedy. Irwin was filming at Bat Reef in Australia, swimming above a massive stingray. Suddenly, in a rare and unpredictable attack, the stingray struck him in the chest with its barb, piercing his heart. His crew rushed to help, but the injury was too severe. Despite their desperate attempts to save him, Steve Irwin passed away before reaching the hospital. The news stunned the world. Irwin wasn't just a TV personality, he was a global icon who brought wildlife into people's homes with unmatched enthusiasm. His love for animals, his larger-than-life energy, and his mission to educate the world about conservation left a lasting impact. His legacy lives on through his family, Australia Zoo, and the countless lives he inspired to appreciate and protect nature. Though gone too soon, Steve Irwin's spirit will never be forgotten. Dimebag Darrell's death remains one of the most shocking tragedies in rock history. On December 8, 2004, the legendary Pantera guitarist was performing with his new band Damage Plan at the Alrosa Villa nightclub in Columbus, Ohio. Fans were packed into the intimate venue, ready for a night of heavy riffs and electrifying solos. But no one could have predicted the horror that would unfold. Just moments into the set, a deranged fan stormed the stage and opened fire, hitting Dimebag multiple times at point-blank range. Chaos erupted as the audience and crew struggled to comprehend what was happening. Band members and security rushed to stop the attacker, but the damage was done. Darrell Abbott, one of metal's most beloved and influential guitarists, was gone in an instant. His murder sent shockwaves through the music world, leaving fans and fellow musicians devastated. Tributes poured in from icons like Zakk Wylde and Eddie Van Halen, who honored him as a true guitar hero. Even today, Dimebag's legacy lives on through his music, his unforgettable stage presence, and the impact he left on the metal scene. Though his life was cut short in the most tragic way, his influence will never fade. Bruce Lee's sudden death remains one of Hollywood's most shocking and mysterious tragedies. A martial arts legend, film star, and cultural icon, Lee was at the height of his career when his life was cut short on July 20th, 1973, at just 32 years old. On that day, Lee was in Hong Kong preparing for the release of Enter the Dragon, the film that would make him a global superstar. He complained of a headache and took a painkiller before lying down to rest. Hours later, he was found unresponsive and could not be revived. Doctors ruled his death as cerebral edema, brain swelling triggered by a reaction to the medication. But rumors and speculation ran wild. Some believed it was foul play, others pointed to overexertion from his intense training, and some even suggested the Lee family curse. Despite the controversy, Bruce Lee's influence never faded. His philosophy, martial arts mastery, and trailblazing career broke barriers for Asian actors in Hollywood. His impact on pop culture, film, and martial arts is still felt today. Though his life ended too soon, Bruce Lee's legacy remains immortal. Dick Shawn, a beloved comedian and actor, tragically died on stage in 1987 during a performance at the University of California, San Diego. Known for his energetic comedic routines and his notable appearances in films like It's a Mad, 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 Mad World and The Producers, Shawn was a true pioneer in the world of comedy. But his unexpected death while performing was an eerie moment that would forever mark his legacy. However, the truth was much more tragic. Shawn had actually suffered a massive heart attack. Despite the efforts of the audience and medical staff, Shawn could not be revived. He was pronounced dead shortly after the incident. The surreal nature of his death, happening in the middle of a performance, left many people in shock and disbelief. What made Shawn's death even more unsettling was the fact that he had just finished a brief comedic bit about death moments before collapsing. It seemed as though his humor had crossed a haunting line, and his death left a lasting impression on those who witnessed it. Dick Shawn's passing at the age of 63 was a devastating loss for the comedy world, and the manner of his death has remained a chilling reminder of the fragility of life. His contributions to film and comedy continue to be celebrated, but his death serves as a stark reminder that sometimes life can be as unpredictable and shocking as a punchline. John Ritter's sudden passing shocked Hollywood and fans around the world. Best known for his role as the lovable Jack Tripper on Three's Company, Ritter was a comedy icon whose charm and comedic timing made him a household name. On September 11, 2003, Ritter was on the set of his sitcom 8 Simple Rules when he suddenly fell ill, complaining of nausea and chest pain. At first, it was thought to be a case of food poisoning, but his condition rapidly worsened. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors diagnosed him with an aortic dissection, a rare and deadly tear in the heart's main artery. Despite emergency surgery, Ritter passed away that evening at just 54 years old. His death was a devastating blow to the entertainment industry. Co-stars, friends, and fans mourned the loss of a man who had brought so much laughter to the world. But John Ritter's legacy lives on, not just through his unforgettable performances, but through the foundation his family established in his honor, raising awareness about aortic health to help prevent similar tragedies. Brandon Lee's death remains one of the most tragic and eerie accidents in Hollywood history. The son of martial arts legend Bruce Lee, Brandon was carving out his own path in the film industry, proving he had both the talent and charisma to be a star. In 1993, he was filming The Crow, a dark and stylish action film that would have been his breakout role. But during a scene where his character was supposed to be shot, a horrific mistake turned fiction into reality. Due to a fatal prop gun error, a real bullet fragment was lodged in the barrel and discharged when fired at Brandon. He collapsed on set, and at first the crew thought he was acting, until they realized he wasn't getting up. Rushed to the hospital, Brandon underwent hours of surgery, but the damage was too severe. He was pronounced dead at just 28 years old. His passing sent shockwaves through Hollywood, leading to stricter gun safety protocols on film sets. The Crow was eventually completed using stand-ins and CGI, becoming a haunting reminder of the immense talent lost far too soon. James Dean was the embodiment of youthful rebellion, a Hollywood icon whose career burned brightly but ended far too soon. With just 3 major films, Rebel Without a Cause, East of Eden, and Giant, he cemented himself as a legend, captivating audiences with his raw talent and brooding charisma. On September 30th, 1955, Dean was driving his silver Porsche 550 Spider, nicknamed Little Bastard, on his way to a race in Salinas, California. He was passionate about speed, but fate had other plans. While traveling down a California highway, Dean's car collided with another vehicle at an intersection. The impact was devastating, and though his passenger survived, Dean suffered fatal injuries. He was just 24 years old. His sudden death only amplified his mystique, turning him into an immortal figure of Hollywood lore. Decades later, his name still evokes the essence of cool, and his films continue to inspire new generations. The eerie part? Just days before the crash, he had filmed a PSA warning about the dangers of reckless driving, a chilling prophecy that made his untimely demise all the more haunting. Bob Crane, best known for his role as Colonel Hogan in Hogan's Heroes, had a life filled with fame, charm, and dark secrets. On screen, he was the quick-witted leader of a POW camp, beloved by millions. Off-screen, his life took a much more complicated and ultimately tragic turn. On June 29, 1978, Crane was found brutally murdered in his Scottsdale, Arizona apartment. He had been bludgeoned to death in his sleep with an electrical cord wrapped around his neck. The case immediately became one of Hollywood's most infamous unsolved mysteries. Suspicion fell on his close friend, John Carpenter, who had helped Crane set up a controversial secret life, one filled with videotaped sexual encounters. Despite the circumstantial evidence against Carpenter, no one was ever convicted of the crime. To this day, Bob Crane's murder remains a mystery, clouded by speculation and unanswered questions. His talent and charisma made him a star, but the circumstances of his death have kept his name alive in Hollywood's most chilling true crime stories. John Candy was the heart and soul of comedy, a larger-than-life presence who could make audiences laugh and cry in the same scene. From Uncle Buck to planes, trains, and automobiles, he was the lovable everyman whose warmth and humor made him unforgettable. But behind the laughter, Candy battled lifelong struggles with his health and stress. In 1994, while filming Wagons East in Mexico, Candy's health took a tragic turn. After a long day on set, he returned to his hotel room where he suffered a fatal heart attack in his sleep. He was only 43. His death sent shockwaves through Hollywood as fans and fellow actors mourned the loss of a true comedic legend. John Candy's legacy lives on in the timeless characters he brought to life. He wasn't just funny, he was real, relatable, and full of heart. And even though he's gone, his movies continue to bring joy to new generations, proving that some stars never fade. These 15 performers and actors left an unforgettable mark on the world with their talent, but their deaths on stage shocked fans and the world alike. From sudden collapses to tragic accidents, their final moments reminded us of the fragility of life. While their passing left a void, their legacies live on, continuing to inspire and captivate audiences.